welcome to Great Getaways. On today's show, it's going to be something a little bit different because we're going back in time. We're actually going back to 1996, one of our old shows. Now, in these old shows, we're seeing some of these things for the first time, so it was really exciting for us, and I think it will be for you too. The one thing you want to keep in mind is rules, regulations, and oftentimes the places we went to have changed a lot over the years, but I think it's something you'll enjoy, so let's get going.
Stretching from Lake Michigan's North Shore to within 5 miles of Lake Superior, Schoolcraft County has a little of everything the UP has to offer. Wild rivers and pristine lakes, deep forests, and a plenitude of wildlife combine to make a sportsman's paradise. And that is just a few of the reasons we have chosen Indian Lake as the home of the Northern Experience headquarters. What better place to work? If you use the town of Manistee as your base camp, you may need help in deciding what to do first. For anyone into cross-country skiing, the Indian Lake Pathways Ski Trail would be an excellent place to start. Just out of town on the west side of Indian Lake, the Indian Lake Pathways Ski Trail offers trails ranging from just under a mile in length to 23 miles. Other popular winter pursuits would include snowshoeing, and there's no better spot for that than the Rainey Memorial Wildlife Area. Located on the northeast end of Indian Lake, the Rainey Wildlife Area is a cooperative project between the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and the Michigan Conservation Fund. At the end of the trail is a large open marshy area that is home to several species of wildlife. Another must-see winter scene in Schoolcraft County would have to be Kitch-iti-kipi, or the Big Springs. Accessible in winter only by skis, snowshoes, and snowmobile, the Big Springs are as lovely to see framed in white as it is in the other seasons. And at this time of year, you'll probably have it all to yourself. Don't think for a minute that we've forgotten about the snowmobiling possibilities in Schoolcraft County. There's opportunity aplenty, with hundreds of miles of groomed trails leading off in every direction, regardless of where you start. Our first stop would be Indian Lake State Park, where Chris and Becky share their thoughts. As we follow them on the trails through Indian Lake State Park, the sun bounces off the freshly fallen snow, glimmering like diamonds. The area was so beautiful that we wanted to keep it to ourselves and not let another soul know about it. As we stop to take in the beauty of our surroundings, Chris gives us some insight into the signs of the wilderness.
Look, Becky, there's one of those trees we wanted to see today.
Well, ain't that something?
We'd been hoping to find one of the beech trees that the bears have climbed, and while this tree is old and fallen down, the bears climb the trees to eat the beech nuts. And I bet if you wandered through the woods here, on a lot of these, especially the bigger beech trees, you'd see lots of bear marks on them. It'd be really nice to find a bear in one, I suppose, but you wouldn't want to get too close.
Yeah, the snow's pretty deep out here too, so I'm sure if we step off our skis, we'll be in about 4 foot of snow. Also, you probably noticed that you heard the snowmobiles and that, and a couple different spots along the loops here. The snowmobile trail goes through. You know, you pass over the snowmobile trail.
Oh, so we got to watch out for machines.
Oh
then,
yeah, they put up caution signs and everything though, so it's really, they're well marked. And
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're familiar with these things.
I'm a little.
Well, should we hit the trail again and watch out for those signs?
Okay.
The Northern Experience invites you to take advantage of the richness and diversity of an area we proudly call the UP. It is a place for all seasons and a place for all reasons, and winter is no exception. The pristine beauty of the winter season awaits you with snow-covered trails and streams, open fields, and dense pine forests. You'll share the trail and cross-country setting with deer, moose, wolves, and others, calling the Upper Peninsula landscape their home. Another nice stop is at the not-so-well-known Rainey Wildlife Area. This spot is a classic example of an upper Michigan wetland. Just off of M94, down a dead-end road, is a parking area and the beginning of a boardwalk. Following this boardwalk through the woods and swamps takes you near to where Smith's Creek enters Indian Lake. Mounting an overlook platform provides a commanding view of the creek as it meanders north through the Great Manistee Swamp. A sharp eye can spot wildlife at almost any time of year, as Tom explains.
Well, I can certainly understand why they call this a wildlife area. We haven't actually seen anything yet, but we've seen a lot of tracks. Just down the trail that we've come down, we've passed a deer run, a lot of deer going through there. The tracks look fairly fresh. You want to keep your eyes open if you come back here. You might see a deer wander by. A lot of rabbit tracks around. We've got a tree right next to us here that the porcupines have been up, and they're chewing away the bark on it that they use for food. You'll notice too, as we go along just up ahead here, we're going to take a look at a tree that has been marked. We'll find out what that's about. And we're also seeing some of the birdhouses that we've heard about that are out here. Now, we haven't seen any actual birds yet, but we're going to keep our eyes open. And with all the tracks around, we may see something. So let's go ahead on down the trail and we'll see what we find.
As the gang continues its snowshoe trek through the wilderness, they come across one of the birdhouses built by the Boy Scouts. Not a bird in sight, but as cold as it was, they were probably inside their little homes, or if they're smart, they went south for the winter. Now it was time to head to the top of the overlook. I wonder if the crew will take off their snowshoes for this climb. Well, I hope coming down is easier than going up. The view was worth the trip. We could see for miles in every direction. This is a trip worth taking no matter what time of year. It was time to move on, so we put our snowshoes back on and hit the trails, and before long, wouldn't you know it, Tom was thinking about food.
What do you guys think? This looks like a good spot for a picnic. Want to try it?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
This gives you an idea what happens when you take your snowshoes off.
Hi, Shorty.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about sitting down.
Well, it must be a good spot for the fire.
Taking off their snowshoes to dig a fire pit in the snow, the gang prepares a picnic lunch. Now, this crew should be experienced, but with all the laughing going on, I wonder. Wait a minute, is that a fire I see? Why, it sure is. Tom, it looks like you'll have a warm meal after all. The Rainey Memorial Wildlife Area is a unique and extremely beneficial project for wildlife. It's the result of the joint efforts of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, Michigan Conservation Foundation, and the private donors of the site and the family who proposed and funded the development of the memorial area. Now that everyone has satisfied their appetite, it was time to move on. We would say goodbye to Chris and Becky and meet up with Rick Bayer. Rick owns the Mountain Ash Resort on Indian Lake. He would be our guide and hopefully show us some of those Indian Lake hotspots. Our first stop would be his ice fishing shelter on the lake. We have done quite well in the past on Indian Lake and would highly recommend that if you want some really great ice fishing, get a hold of Rick.
Well, Rick, you think maybe if we stare at this long enough, it'll pop up and we'll get a fish on here? Might happen, huh? We kind of hope so.
Let's give it a try.
All right. We just came out from the shanty. We were inside, and like I said, we went in there. The tip-ups were already set. So we went in, and you did have some food cooking there. And it was mighty good. Why
It
don't you
wasn't
tell
too
us what
bad.
we had?
We had venison.
Okay, and you got a special way that you're cooking it now.
We cooked it up with a little bacon and little onions, and we just pick at it. Pick food.
Yeah, all right, just set it in the middle of the table in a plate, and everybody sits around with a fork, and you can sit there and talk and watch your tip-ups from the windows, and it's really enjoyable way to fish. That's my way to fish.
Real enjoyable.
We're gonna come out here now. We're just gonna make the rounds and check the tip-ups here and make sure everything's not iced in. And it is getting quite a bit darker out here now. I don't know how light will it stay?
You know, it should be about prime time. It's been staying light close to 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So maybe even slightly after. I don't even know what time it is.
I don't either. Now we're up here at the north end, and this is what, walleye fishing primarily?
This is Walleyeville. All these guys in here are walleye fishing, and the Indian River comes in right over here.
Okay.
Over in this grassy area, and it's basically about 3 to 6 foot deep in here. And there's a little ledge that runs all the way. You can see how these shacks are all set up on this little ledge.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes the fish are feeding in the shallower water, and sometimes they're feeding over here in the 5 and 6 foot.
Okay.
And you can tell there's weeds out here, and there's weed patches and that up here and that. But this is mainly where people get the walleye all winter long, all the way up here, all the way to the north end.
All right, but there's a lot of other fishing opportunities out here on the lake too. Now you got a couple of shanties that you keep down at the south end of the lake. What are you getting down there?
We have 2 in the middle, and we're getting perch, jumbo perch, and we've caught a couple of throwback walleyes and some small pike in there, but mainly we've been getting some really nice perch in there this winter. And we got a shack at the south end. We've caught some nice perch down there, and we've caught pike down there also.
Well, you want to take a walk around and check the rest of these tip-ups, and
Well, we probably should. Maybe we can spook a fish or something.
yeah, maybe walking on the ice or something here. Okay, let's give that a try then. Obviously, we didn't stare at this one hard enough because it didn't work. So,
That's a brand new tip-up too. I thought for sure that one would go on.
But it wasn't meant to be today. There were going to be no fish in our bucket. That's okay though, because we knew the day was coming to a quick close when we came out on the lake, and that we'd have plenty of opportunities to fish with Rick in the future. So we packed up our gear and headed in for the night.
Being prepared when you visit Manistee can add to your fun and enjoyment of the area. And we've got some great advice, which you can find at our website. At our homepage, you can find this information by entering any one of 3 different links. This week's destination, the Northern Experience Getaways, or scroll down to the Only North website. This week's destination gives you the easiest access to a variety of information, including our itinerary. With links to various winter activities, as well as other area information, you'll be able to plan a trip as nice as the one we took. When you visit our website, leave yourself time to explore the many links and places that we travel to each week on our show. Not only will you discover great new places, but it'll give you a few minutes to explore the vast travel opportunities throughout the North.
The next day would start on a sunny note. The air was clear and crisp. We would meet up with Rick and Jerry Rink, the owner of Four Seasons Resort, located on the north end of Indian Lake. Jerry is also president of the local Snowmobile Club and would be our tour guide on some of the most scenic trails in the state. He agreed to take us around the lake to Palms Book State Park, home of one of this area's most intriguing attractions. In fact, Palms Book is designated as a state scenic area, so except for a summer boat launch, no sports or other recreation is allowed. But, as you will see, the trip to this remote area is one everyone should take. The Native Americans called it the Mirror of Heaven, Kitch-iti-kipi, and believed its waters held mystical powers. How else could the still water not freeze during the legendary Upper Peninsula winters? Indian lore tells the story of a young maiden who dove into the water. She was transformed into a beautiful white deer. Some say you can still see the outline of a white deer on the rocks under the water. Now, of course, legends aside, we know that the Big Spring, as today's locals call it, is a natural mineral spring. In fact, this big spring is Michigan's largest, over 200 feet across.
We got a great day of snowmobiling planned today, and we're down at the Big Springs, which is our first stop. I'm with Jerry Rank. He's the owner of the Four Seasons Resort, and he's also president of the Snowmobile Club here in Schoolcraft County. Jerry, you've got quite a day planned for us. Maybe you could tell us what we're going to be doing.
Well, this was our first stop. We're approximately 16 miles from town by trail, that is. And this is the Big Springs, one of the nicer spots of the county here. It's real pretty. Normally we see fish in here, but I don't see any yet today. And we leave here, we're going to go up to, it's called a Thunderbolt. It used to be an old ski hill. And snowmobilers like to play there, and a lot of people go sledding and skiing. And then from there on, we might find some snacks on the trail. I know a little stop that we might have a little cheese and crackers or something to snack on by a pretty little creek. And then we're off to the local watering holes and meet some people and have a good time. And then we'll be heading back towards town. Probably, short trip, probably 60 miles today. So.
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad. Now, how many miles of trails do we have, though?
Our club grooms 101 trails in Schoolcraft County. With the DNR and the other clubs in the area, there's thousands of miles of groomed trails, that we connect up with.
So we'll just be out kind of crisscrossing some of these trails in and making some
pretty
loop
much going
around.
to be on our own trails, on Schoolcraft County trails today. Schoolcraft County is a big county, and I don't know how far we'd have. Unless we went west towards Escanaba, we get out of the county fairly fast. Probably another 10 miles from here, but we're going to be heading north, so we'll be on Schoolcraft County trails today.
Okay, well, we've got a great day planned. I think we'll just take a minute here and enjoy where we're at.
During the summer months, this glass-bottom raft is operated by the park with guides to give a detailed tour around the whole spring basin. Today, we were on our own to man the primitive power system so we could get a closer look at this ancient attraction that still inspires wonder. As we mentioned, Palms Book State Park does not maintain any snowmobile or cross-country trails in the park area, but the Schoolcraft Snowmobile Club grooms a number of trails surrounding the area which will provide easy access. The groomer went one way, we went the other to take advantage of these freshly plowed trails. The trail was now incredibly smooth as we headed off to our next destination. We would soon pass over one of the many rivers and streams that crisscross these trails. With all the freshly fallen snow, the beauty was breathtaking. Now, we've been called a lot of things when it comes to snowmobiling, from amateurs to old men. But why would anyone want to go 80 and 90 miles an hour through such a gorgeous area? Well, say what you like, we're still going to take our time and enjoy this place they call God's country. Well, we have finally hooked up with everyone else in our group, and it was time for a little break and well-deserved lunch.
Well, we're at a stop along the trail here. What'd you call this creek, Jerry?
Murphy Creek.
Murphy Creek. Okay, and it was the other day. It was still open water. It's pretty well frozen over. There's a couple of spots that are open, but it's still just a beautiful little creek that flows through here. A nice bridge that comes across for the trail. And it's just a great place to make a little fire and have a lunch that we've got here. And they said we're going to have a few crackers and something. And it was really, hey, this really used to be a nice tray here. And it looks like it's going real fast.
Yeah, feels good inside.
All kinds of good food there. That's a good little trail mix that to bring out with
Diner
you.
here.
Is that what it is?
Murphy Creek
Creek Diner. And a picnic lunch like this is excellent to take out on the trail with you. There's all kinds of good spots that you can pull off. Spots just like this or whatever to your liking, I guess.
Right.
We've passed just a lot of spots that look like they make a good place for a picnic. So
there's even places with picnic tables. If you
is there?
Oh, sure. Some of the parks, you know, they're not open in the wintertime. But
right, but you can pull in and set up right on the table. So just some great stuff that you can do. You really ought to come up here. The trails have been beautiful. Guaranteed beautiful, as a matter of fact, because I'm real impressed with what I've seen going through here. And great place to bring the family up or to come up with your buddies and just get out here and ride the trails and have some fun.
enjoy winter. There's nothing else to do in the winter.
That's right. That's right. And this is a good this is a good way to enjoy it, though.
Pine trees dotted the trail side as we cruised into the evening, enjoying this trip until the last possible moment. Our hats are off to Jerry and his snowmobile club for all their time and effort in making this trail system world class.
We've made it out here today to our final destination, and that is the Thunderbolt. Now, we've been hearing about it all day, and we finally made it out here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about it, Jerry?
Well, it's a big hole in the ground. It used to be a ski hill here, and it's near Thunder Lake, about 20 miles from Manistee, 25 miles from Manistee. A lot of local people from town come out here, bring their kids with their sleds and toboggans, and we got a grill with some hot dogs and hamburgers going over here. And it's just a fun place to go on a Saturday afternoon.
Now, we came in on our sleds, but I see that they're also driving in here.
Yeah.
We've got a parking lot
Right.
here, so you can drive back here to enjoy it too.
That's correct.
With a vehicle. Real good place out here. You see we got some sleds coming up this way, and you can actually drive your sled down in here though and have a little fun
Climb
with
the
it.
hills. And be
You're
careful.
going to demonstrate for us?
Am I going to demonstrate? No, I think I'll call my counterparts over here. Butch
Okay,
and
we'll
Ann
put
show us
them
how
to the
do
test,
it.
huh? They haven't been doing nothing all day.
That's
We'll get them
right.
working here. And you can jump on a sled and maybe do some hill climbing for us?
Certainly, it's a lot of fun out here.
Okay, great. Why don't you show us what it's all about?
Come on, Warren. Saddle up.
Hey, Butch, how about you too? You want to join in?
I made the sausage.
Well, that's it for another week in this winter wonderland called Michigan's Upper Peninsula. We hope that you'll come up and enjoy this area. And when you do, remember, please leave it as pristine as you found it.
Once again, I would like to invite you to drop by our website, click on this week's destination. While you're here, take time to explore another unique feature of the Only North website, and that's video on demand. You can actually watch video clips of the area right on your computer. And as always, we encourage you to email us with any questions and comments you might have.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show, taking it back in a little bit of history of our show. We'd like to bring more of these out in the future if you think this is something you would like. We'd like you to let us know on our Facebook page, and we'll bring more out to you in the future. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.